Welcome back. Here we are again. Distorted frequencies coming in strong. Today we're taking another trip back into my past, talking to one of my oldest friends, Marlon Amercy. This guy is kind of responsible for getting me into punk rock in general, and we've had a lot of laughs and a lot of crazy experiences along the way, some of which we're going to tell you all about in this episode. Check it out.
Long time no see. Well, whatever this is.
This is about as close as it gets to actually hanging out.
Yeah,
Oh, what a weird world we live in.
yeah.
The
It's the future, man.
future. I never thought this would be the future. I thought it'd be like flying cars, and actually, I never thought it'd be flying cars. I guess I never really thought about the future. Actually, I thought I
Well, there are some perks, like you can get like weed delivered to your house now, totally legally.
that's true. That's the world that we all wanted to live in. Quick weed. Yeah, you're looking good. Looks like you got some more tattoos there.
A few, like it's actually been a while. I think almost 2 years since I've been tattooed, but yeah, I'm getting old, so even if you don't get tattooed often, start acquiring them.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's do you still did you ever cover up any of your old tattoos? Like those like what about the fork? Is that still there?
It's still there. It got like kind of like fixed a bit. Um, I still have drink tattooed across my chest, and I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in like 2 years. I just have it tattooed on my heart. But whatever, it's part of the story, right?
That's the way I always thought about it, like all my stupid tattoos are like it's like getting a scar, right? It's like you fall off your bike or whatever, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that scar reminds me of that time that I shouldn't have been riding that fast or whatever.
Exactly.
That's funny though. But yeah, I like when's the last time you changed your hairstyle?
uh, I was thinking about that like a couple weeks ago, and it's been over 10 years, that's for sure. I think 2009 I started it. So yeah.
Nice. It's good, man. I don't know like anyone else that can rock that. It's for some reason it just suits you perfectly. Maybe it's just 'cause
Thanks.
it's been so long, maybe, but I don't know. It works. It works for you.
Yeah, I do get compliments on it. It's been wet. I just jumped into the river after work, so
It's hot. It's
dirty
hot.
ass Montreal River.
Nice. Is it like is there like a heat wave in Montreal right now? Like in Toronto,
Yeah,
there's like a heat wave.
yeah, yeah.
It's brutal.
There's
I'm like sweating.
glad I don't work in kitchens anymore.
Yeah, yeah. That's you've come a long way from the kitchen from the greasy sweet
Yeah,
kitchens. You're like a science guy now. That's the actual terminology, right? Science
yeah,
guy.
yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah, well, research technician. Um, it's pretty much like a cook, but in a lab.
Nice. It's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, just AC though. That's the big difference.
Nice. If there wasn't any AC, like all the different like things in the petri dishes would start to come to life and stuff, and
Yeah,
you got to keep it at okay temperature.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's like a set room temperature, because everything has to be controlled, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Did you get your vax?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
First shot.
Yeah. Which one did
It's
you get?
like Pfizer.
Pfizer.
Which,
Fuck
if I
yeah.
stayed at my last company that I was working at that did vaccine research, I would have. They actually got the contract for that vaccine, but I ended up leaving there before they actually started working on it.
Nice. Well, Pfizer, they say it's the better one. So
We'll find out.
we'll find out. I got the Moderna shot. I got
Yeah.
the first one, and I got shingles from it. Would you believe?
Oh shit! My partner just got shingles actually.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah. It was not pleasant. Like, well, not well for her. Like, just not watching her go through it. It was already too pleasant. So yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
Hey, it was okay. All things considered, it was okay. It was pretty minor. I didn't really. I had like like a kind of rash, you know.
Yeah.
I won't say where, but
Well, that's the thing is like when it was happening, we looked it up and stuff, and like you look it up on the internet, you see the worst, and you're like, oh no, is this gonna be my face? Like, but
totally.
luckily, like my partner was just like on her back a little bit, so it was not too bad, like, but still, like it's painful. That's not fun.
Nope, nope. Pain is not that much fun. I mean, unless you're into it. But yeah. So, but did she get it from the shot? No,
No, no, no,
mhm,
just unrelated.
fair. Yeah, I read online like after mine started like popping up, I was like, "What the hell is this all about?" So I looked online. Same thing. Saw all those terrifying images, and I was like, "Oh fuck, what's gonna happen to me?" But then, but then I read that like it's one of those side effects that has happened to people that have specifically gotten the Moderna. It's the one I got, and I was like, shit. So not that I really cared too much about what the internet had to say about stuff, but I did, do a little bit of preliminary sifting through the internet to see, what my odds were with each one, and I was like,
Well, like the thing with like I haven't read anything about it, but like just like what I'm thinking about, like is like it kind of makes sense because like shingles can like come up when your immune system's kind of weakened.
mhm.
So like stress can cause shingles. That's why like cancer can cause it and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense that like a vaccine could possibly cause that. I mean, like I don't know the exact mechanics. I haven't read anything about it, but
You
it
heard it
just
here. Facts from the
yeah.
science man himself. Yeah.
I just have a college degree though. That's the thing. I just kind of like lucked out up and worked my way up somehow. But
Isn't isn't
it's
that
not
how
even.
anyone gets anywhere though? It's just
Yeah, it is.
does anyone ever get where they want to go? They just end up there.
Well,
That's what I've
yeah.
discovered.
Fortunately, like you can work your ass off, and some people just don't make it. I'm lucky that I, well, I had a lot of good things to start off with in life that kind of set me up way better than other people. But still, life's tough.
Life is tough, but you know what? Like you were always the smartest guy, and I think that kind of helped you get where you needed to go.
Not always.
Well, you know what? I you, maybe I'll rephrase that. You were very, and don't take this the wrong way, academically smart, and I think maybe some of the decisions you made were questionable along the way. But I think that
Yes.
you had a really good sense of I don't know, smarts about you. Let's leave it at that. Why don't we? But for
I'll
people
take the
that are,
compliment.
yeah, I'm trying to compliment you. So for people that don't know, that are like listening to this or watching this, Marlon and I have known each other for years and years, although we haven't seen each other in a while because we're not even that far away from each other, but too far away to really like hang out or anything like that. But we grew up in Spain together on the Costa del Sol, south of Spain, went to a English speaking international school. And yeah, then I ended up moving to Ottawa. And I'm pretty sure this is how it went down, but I'm probably my memory's a little foggy of those days too. But I think you sent me a message on like Facebook and you were like still in
It was
Spain.
before Facebook. It was on MSN Messenger.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would feel like Facebook's always been around now. It's weird. It's like one of
Yeah.
those like Mandela effects. I'm like, when I was 5, I was like messaging someone on Facebook. I'm like, that doesn't even add up. But yeah, MSN. You were like, I'm still in Spain and this is super boring and I don't like being here or something. And I was like, dude, you should come to Ottawa. It's super cool. And then you were like, yeah, I'll come like as soon as I can. And I think literally the next week you showed up in Ottawa.
Yeah, I think it was like, well, I had to get my citizenship status. So it was like a month or a couple months that like went by because like my dad got, he went to school in Canada for a bit. Like he was born in there's a whole story with him, but he just went to Canada for a bit and managed to get citizenship here because of it. and but then he's never really lived in Canada since. So something in the 70s, and I was able to get citizenship because of that. So and yeah, like I wanted to get out of Spain. I didn't think there was much going on there. It's just kind of tourist town, where we grew up, right? So like the only people who stay there are kind of like those shriveled up prunes you see at the bar down there, like I don't want to be one of those like what do you do there? You like work in one of these bars and you just do that and pickle yourself your whole life? And yeah.
Yep. Yep. There's some people that are still there from our youth that are just pickling away.
I can't imagine.
I
I'm
mean,
actually thinking about going back I haven't been back since I left. And I'm thinking about going back this Christmas, if possible, to visit my mom. Because I
nice.
haven't been back since I left, so that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I also haven't gone back since I left. I always thought like when I left, because that's weird. Like I guess if you live anywhere for a long time, you kind of take it for granted. And like a lot of people, when I say I grew up in Spain, they're like, "Oh my God, that must have been amazing." And I was like, it's just like any other place that you live in for a long time. You're just like fed up with it by the end of it. It's
Yeah.
it's not like you're a tourist. It's not like you're like, oh well, these amazing sunny beaches. You're like, it's fucking hot, and like I've seen everything here already. I'm bored.
I miss the sun though.
Well, yeah, I mean, like that was, I think, one of the first realizations when I moved to Ottawa. It's like the fall was okay for a bit, and then like midway through the fall, I was like, "What's happening?" It's like I had no preparation. You would have thought that I would have had.
No, I didn't have the right clothes the first year. It was horrible. I remember like walking to work and I'm like just wearing like because I was wearing a coaster and I was wearing a button down shirt and that was it and like pants, not even long johns, and it's -30. And I'm walking from the bus station to work and it's just swearing. I was just swearing because I thought for some reason that would heat me up. It
That
did a bit.
it did. I'm sure it did. Yeah, you gotta ignite the internal fires inside of you to warm yourself up. Anger cures all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ottawa was a weird place for sure. I mean, I'm glad that you came to Ottawa because that changed things up for me significantly. Because the funny thing is that when we were, I mean, like, do you still consider yourself a punk rocker?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, if you listen to music and the music and like it's dominant music you listen to, and you're involved somewhere in the community, sure. You know, I don't think it's like definitely if you're younger and some of the young kids, there might be some gatekeeping clicks about it and
Yeah,
stuff, but I mean, like, whatever. If you want to call yourself that, whatever.
I'm sure. Yeah. So, like, when we were kids, it was an interesting thing to witness you kind of like realize about punk because it was like when I first met you, you were in like I don't know how old you were. I have some photos of us as kids. I'll like put them up so we can
Oh,
both be
no.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I remember you were into like electronic music. Like you were
Yeah.
into like Fatboy Slim and
Yeah.
Kid Koala and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Exactly. That's some things that like I'm maybe in the past couple of years might kind of rediscovering.
that's interesting because I literally like a week ago or something I was on Spotify and I was like, what has Fatboy Slim done since that
I
one
haven't thought
album?
about that. I'm sure it's not good though.
Well, it turns out it's basically I mean, unless I don't know, I didn't really look outside of Spotify, but I couldn't find anything on Spotify. So I was like, this guy didn't do really anything. So what it seems like, I don't know. I'm probably wrong. He's probably doing something, but it's off my radar for sure. Like I don't really care about
You
that.
weren't that invested that you looked anywhere other than the closest thing in your head.
That's exactly what
You
happened.
didn't even switch app.
Didn't even switch the app. I was like, there's not really anything on here on Spotify. So that's all the information I need. That's everyone's mentality towards the internet now. One source,
Yeah.
and you got all your information. Move on. But yeah.
Unfortunately.
But you were into that kind of music, and then I don't know. At some point, you started like piercing your own ears. Is that when
Yeah.
you started getting into punk music? Was there some sort of correlation?
Uh, nah, because I was kind of always kind of like into that gothic kind of stuff. Like when I was earlier in my teens, like yeah.
Yeah, because I
Or even
remember.
like electronic music that kind of really crosses over in Europe, like even like in the punk scene in Europe, like electronic music's like very big there, like you have a rave after the show. It's a very common thing, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't think it was that weird of a switch. Like even if you like look at like Fatboy Slim and stuff, a lot of those DJs and shit, they were kind of messing around with punk in the '80s before they became DJs in the '90s.
True, true. Yeah, that's a good point. I hear a lot like people compare like drum and bass to punk. Like it's got kind of got a similar like tempo and sort of
Yeah,
a similar attitude towards,
and
aggressive attitude.
yeah, you can have that, and it's also kind of in some punk, some sides of it. You have the like, political side of it, but then you have the stupid songs about partying, right? And then like what's techno but a party, I guess.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I like the silly songs about partying. I just did an interview with Blag from the Dwarves. All their
Oh
songs are
yeah.
like silly songs about partying.
Yeah, they got some songs.
Yeah, the dwarves. I mean, speaking of the dwarves, we talked about this a little like a couple weeks ago or whatever. But
Yeah, I
I
didn't
feel,
even remember that this was the show. Like I just knew that happened. I just like a lot of shows blur together, especially those years.
yeah, for sure. And like you were going to a show like every night, it seemed. So
Yeah, like I mean, like up until COVID hit, like I normally try to hit a show every week. It doesn't always happen. But then there's a fest, and you're at like 3, 4 shows in one week, and then especially living in Montreal now, which is like the land of the festivals and shit, you know. But it's my social activity, Even though I don't drink and stuff now, I find it easier to do that because at least there's something else going on, I can just watch the music. And then if I don't want even want to make just smoke shop, I can just watch the music, enjoy the music, listen to it, and like be there. It's a community thing that you're doing with your friends. And you don't even have to make that shitty small talk because it's too fucking loud.
that's fantastic. It's an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Do you still find yourself in the mosh pit even though you don't drink?
Not as much, that's for sure. I will go in for a little bit, yeah. It depends on the show for sure. The standards are definitely higher.
Yeah, I had like one of my like kind of older person like it's ridiculous to even say I'm old. I'm in my 30s. So, but I had that moment where I went to a show and like there was a mosh pit broke out like near the front of the stage, and I was just like, these guys have no consideration for people. They want to stand close to the stage but don't want to get shoved around.
I
And I was like
don't
sick of
know. I
watching.
kind of like watching it when it does go wild. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like go for it. I'm not gonna go there, but like, I like watching the chaos.
That's true. Yeah. And to be fair, like the show that I had that kind of moment at, it wasn't a very hardcore show or anything like that. To be honest, like the music didn't even
that
really call for a mosh pit. So it was
that
kind of like,
changes it completely.
yeah,
Like when you got those two drunk people like a show that really doesn't call for it, and they're just like, why is nobody joining in? And trying to grab everybody from the sideline. Yeah.
yeah, that sucks. That's just a buzzkill for everyone's
Yeah.
experience. But this dwarves show, it
I think
was,
I've been that person.
I think
Maybe once.
I feel like I'm glad that um like I don't talk to too many people that tell me about my drunken behavior in my 20s. I feel like I would have just a lot of regret. But the dwarves show that we went to, we were both quite hammered, and we both, and I talked to Blag about this, but I didn't really like get this out there because my hope is to find this person who took this photo. So to refresh your memory,
I
we go
think
to.
it's Tina. I think I know who it is.
Oh yeah, you know the person? Oh my god. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think it's Tina.
we're getting one step closer to this thing that I've been searching for 14 fucking years. So we end up at the concert. I take the Riptides open. Dwarves start playing. 3 songs into it, I feel my body get launched onto the stage. Glasses break. Feel my face. Blood all over my hands. Talk to the bar guy like, dude, I need some ice for my head. He's like, get the fuck out of the venue. You're getting blood everywhere. Kicks me out of the
It's not,
venue.
yeah, those people suck.
It's like, what the hell? I need medical attention. Just get the fuck out of the bar. So I go out of the bar, light up a cigarette, bleeding, and then you came stumbling out of the door, lighting up a cigarette, also blood all over your face. And I'll post a little bit of a better picture, but that's the photo of you.
Before the hair.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's right. That's before the hair. That's fine. I didn't even think about that. But there's your eyebrow ring got ripped out, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I remember like when it happened, I felt like a warm splash in my mouth, and I was like, "Oh, somebody's like warm beer went in my mouth." And I'm like, I tasted the metal spirit, metal taste, and I'm like, "Oh man, so many blood's in my mouth." I'm walking around, and I think it was Tina, the person who took the photo, was like, "You're bleeding," and I'm like, "No, I got somebody's blood on my face." And I really hope I don't get a disease. And she's like, no, you're bleeding. And then, like, I remember it took me a while to come around to understand that, yeah, I'm bleeding. Because I didn't feel it. I was just drunk, it's piercing too. I don't think you have much nerve endings there. I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor, but
Well, that is pretty gnarly, and I remember like seeing you're covered in blood, I'm covered in blood. We both had that like pointing at each other like that Spider-Man meme, or the two of them are like, what happened to you? What happened to you? And yeah, and then like I mean my memory was kind of blurry, but yeah, I hope that it is this Tina that you're talking about. But someone walked up to us and was like, what the fuck is this sight that I'm seeing, these two guys covered in blood smoking cigarettes? We're like, oh, it's a fucking crazy punk rock show in there. And then she was like, can I get a photo of the two of you? We're like, yeah, sure. They're standing there.
okay,
And
that may be a different photo because I know the one that took the photo of me drinking the beer was the Tina person.
okay. I feel like it was like a random stranger. I mean, I can't be
It's
certain,
possible.
but
I don't remember. Like, I don't remember the show. Like I didn't know it was Riptide's Old Plate until you just said that. So yeah, like my memory is not reliable for this.
all good, all good. I'm going off of like the tidbits that I remember, and there's probably parts of it that aren't even true. I just made it up.
There was blood. That was true.
There was blood. We have pictures of us both individually bloodied up, so obviously that did happen. But I remember I was such an asshole. Like I went to the ER that night, and I was like a belligerent piece of shit to like everybody at the hospital. I was such a dick for no reason. And then and I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get stitches. And I was like, fuck everything. And then I was like, these stitches are gonna be so cool. And like I'm not even gonna care because I'm so drunk that it's like I don't even feel the pain of the injury that I sustained. So these stitches won't hurt either. And then I stayed in the hospital all night because that's how that works. So like 12, 13 hours later, they're giving me the stitches when I'm like totally sober and hungover, and it hurts so bad. So that did not work out for me.
I think I remember trying to convince you not to go to the hospital.
Sounds like something you'd
I
say.
know I didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember like you had a bit of an aversion to hospitals. There was a couple times that you
Yeah.
got kind of injured and just didn't want to go to the hospital. I remember there was a
Yeah,
time.
I'm over that now. And I've gotten some health things taken care of that I refused to for a while. But yeah.
Nice. Because there was that one time that I don't know how it happened. Maybe you got in a fight or something, but your eye got like horribly infected. Do you remember that?
Oh no, I didn't get in a fight. I fell off of I stashed my beer after work when I worked at the seafood restaurant downtown. And like on the roof is a car park, and then there's like just like some really big roof things, like big fans, and like anyway, I stashed my beer on top of there because there was a show downtown, and I wanted to get it after the show, I think, and then I got really hammered at the show, and then I went to go get my beer. And I don't really remember this part, but I heard this is what happened: is that I fell off of like it's like over 2 meter high, and like fell off and it just landed off my face.
Oh
And
my
shit.
god.
And then got back up and got my beer.
Well, that's what's important.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's hilarious. I never heard that that story. I don't even know that I ever inquired as to how it happened. I just assumed that it was from a fight or something.
No, I had a lot of black eyes at that summer, right? Or two summers. I remember there was like one black eye after another black eye.
Were they alternating between eyes?
Yeah, they were alternating between the two.
That's too funny. Because yeah, I remember that I guess like this beer dropping incident because your eye got infected afterwards and it was like
Yeah,
super gnarly. Like your eye looked
I
like it was
almost lost they said if you waited longer, you would have lost the eye. I'm sure it would have taken a while, but like they said like I might lose some vision, but I think it's fine. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, that's it. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I remember seeing you one day and it was like bad, and then I saw you the next day and it was like horrible. I was like, dude, you gotta go to a hospital. And then you were like, I don't need to go to a hospital. I was like,
yeah.
what?
My friend who lived underneath me at the time, he like drove me to the hospital. He did that a couple of times. He just like took me to the hospital.
I mean,
Yes, I wouldn't go.
yeah, because I don't know if you remember this, but I tried to get you to the hospital. I threw you in a taxi cab, and I was like, I told the taxi driver, I was like, don't let this guy leave until he gets to the hospital. And then later, you like came back to your house like an hour later, like you jumped out of the cab or something and came back.
I hate anniversary to hospitals. Yeah.
So funny.
I really didn't like. I had a fear of doctors, like, and like, I didn't know I just didn't want to be in the hospital. You know, it's not something I had good experiences with, and just didn't. Yeah, didn't want to go back, but now I'm over that.
That's cool. That's cool. The yeah, the place that you were living in at that time, was that like on like Bell Street or something? Somewhere
No,
around
I
there.
didn't live there, but like I
Okay.
was there a lot. Like a bunch of other people lived there. There was like a rooming house, like like where there's like rent by the room, and it's like
Mhm.
like a lot of times like a lot of people doing crack and stuff there. Like, but like this is just like I think like people like on welfare and like unfortunately have no can't afford anything better. So it's just like you pay like for one room that's at first, and the conditions are horrible. These learners are complete slumlords,
Mhm.
and they take advantage of that the fact that they know they're getting the money and that these people have no other option to
Yeah.
go anywhere else because they're in a situation they're on welfare. A lot of times there is immigrants,
Mhm.
like actually one of the people who lived there was an immigrant. Two of them actually that lived there were immigrants that were part of the rooming house and not the
Yeah.
punks living there. But yeah, I didn't live there myself. I lived down the street from like right on the corner. But
Right. Yeah, yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah. Yeah, did
yeah,
you didn't live with Adam, did you? You lived across the street from him or something like that, right?
I lived on top of him. That was the
Oh,
guy who
okay.
drove me to the hospital.
Okay. He's definitely
Yeah,
the kind of guy that would drive you to the hospital.
yeah.
The
Well, he's the
real
only
nice
person I
guy.
knew with a car around then that time.
Yeah, that's true actually. Like nobody had a car in Ottawa. You didn't really need a car in
No,
Ottawa.
no, didn't have their shit together to get the license.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah, those it was interesting because like did you find that you got really into punk rock like when you moved to Ottawa, or was that something that kind of was happening in Spain too? Because I
I
guess
finally had shows to go to, like just
Mhm,
where we grew up. We had a tourist town there, and as far
mhm,
as I knew, there was not much to see. Went to the odd rock show that was really bad at the tourist bar that was set up by like the local metalheads, or a couple shows at El Rincon. I remember going to in Spain.
mhm.
More of a metal scene I remember there, Uh, but just where the area we grew up, like I'm sure if I went to a couple hours to another city, that would have been different. We just didn't have that really option. It was just we were just kids, And then when I came here, it's more there were shows, in North America, in the Costa del Sol. So I just had more of a scene to go to.
Totally, yeah. And I think like Ottawa too is like really good for like punk music, obviously, because you never really get, like when I was younger, I wasn't as into punk rock as you were. So when I moved to Ottawa, I was like, oh, I want to see all like, cause I was into like just mainstream like rock music and stuff. So it's like, oh, I want to see all these mainstream rock bands, but they always pass Ottawa. Like they would go to Montreal or to Toronto. They would never come to Ottawa, but like all the bands that played in Ottawa were like these punk bands that were just kind of like either local or from, the province or from Quebec or whatever. So I felt like there was like a punk show almost every night there, and the scene is obviously like pretty big in Ottawa. I don't know if it still is, but back then, like like mid 2000s, I guess, there was like punks everywhere.
Yeah, sorry, I just realized I had a thing going off. But sorry about it. Yeah, no, like I think the scene is like, you still have a decent scene there. Now I'm in Montreal. Like Montreal is obviously a way bigger scene, but in terms of Ottawa, yeah, like there were shows there was a show every weekend. At least there was something going on every weekend. And I do think it was a bit bigger just that like decade or more over than a decade, ago. But like, you know, I've noticed like having lived in a few different cities in Canada, they all got kind of a little scene going on, and they all got really good scenes going on too, and they all tend to have managed to pull off something every weekend. Maybe not everywhere, but like like I've been like Halifax and like a little bit around BC and stuff, visiting around traveling, and yeah, like it's not unique, I don't think, in Canada. I think like just in Canada in general, it's got a good network for that. Like any half decent city here sort of seen it seems.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think the thing with Ottawa, I think, is there's like a lot of what I guess you would coin as like gutter punks.
Yeah, I mean
Is that the right
they're
word?
they're everywhere to be honest. Yeah, there's like a little scene of them in every city, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And they
for
all
sure.
got their own little cliques, you
That's
know.
what's the difference between a gutter punk and a normal punk?
I don't know. Those are just words, man. Like, it's just that's just what somebody's calling somebody else. Like, I, 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 I think that's a term. I don't know. I, I think it's silly to put the labels on people, because like even it's like you're like subgenre to an extensive degree, and like nobody really fits, and you don't want to be that person that like I fit that label perfectly, and maybe you do at a certain point in your life, but that does not, no matter what, that's not the whole thing of anybody, But like those are just labels that other people might have. So everybody who's assigning it, you're just assigning it with your own preconceptions. So everybody has their own different preconceptions. So one person's gutter punk is another person's other fucking class punk. I don't know.
Crust punk. That's always been my favorite term. Just sounds so nasty.
Yeah, I mean I like the music. The music's great.
So crust punk is like a genre of music as well, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, but how
yeah.
does that differ from like regular punk music? Is there a
Um,
is there
it's
a
more
difference?
crusty.
Is crusty?
Like, yeah, I know. Like, crust punk, like it's like anti-sect and uh like there's like like it kind of like overlaps with DB and stuff too a
Mhm.
lot. Montreal has a big scene for that. Musically, like like it can vary quite a bit. Like some of it can sound quite noisy, while like others will be like just like really fast, and then you got shit like tragedy that's more like tight and like uh, put together, more like studio quality shit. So it runs the spectrum too.
Mhm. Did you find that like when you were listening to punk music, like there was a sort of like a gateway band or something that kind of got you into it? Like for me, I feel like it was the Misfits. I don't think you
Yeah,
you didn't like the Misfits. I don't think
I
when you were
did. I
younger.
never liked them. Never. I think they're cheesy, and Danzig is. I like, and this is before I knew anything about Danzig.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I the whole horror punk thing. I just never, it never got to me. I know
Mhm.
some people live and die by it, and they're offended. And I've been like drunk and with certain people, and just pretended I liked the whole thing, just because I didn't want to involve the whole awkwardness of me having to explain that I don't like the Misfits. To some people.
Some people are super fucking intense about the Misfits.
Yeah, and like now it's a more acceptable thing not to like the Misfits, because I think like with social media and stuff, everybody knows what a fool Danzig is. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
uh,
it's harder and harder to be like a fan. Like I had this discussion with Blag from the Dwarves as well. It was just like it's difficult because it's like I understand everything that Glenn Danzig did, kind of paved a way for a lot of, bands that didn't do the horror punk thing, but also kind of embodied, I don't know, like the spirit of the musical side of the Misfits. And for all that, like I tip my cap to Danzig, but like just look at the guy these days and everything he's doing and saying, and it's like, dude.
yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, I was thinking about it. And it's Offspring Americana. No, not Americana. The one they had before Americana. Uh,
um, Ixnay on the Ombre,
no,
the one before that.
like the one where like Ignito.
What the hell? No, I know which one you're talking about. It's the big one, right? Like the one with like the
Yeah, I
X-ray
think
of
it
the
had
bones or whatever on the front.
like in flames a bit, like it's
Oh,
all in
okay. Yeah,
flames.
Ignition, is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that. That
Yeah.
that one I think was like one of the because I remember like this is before I met you when I was at another school
Mhm.
in same on the coast there. My friend Oliver, like he was into that, and I liked that, and then like kind of got more into techno after. But I think that was the first thing that really got me into, and then like meeting you, and you were more into punk too. But like before that, I had a friend Oliver, and he got me into that. And actually, I think the first CD I ever owned was actually like because I had taste before, but I never had my first CD was the actual Americana CD from Offspring.
Nice. That's obviously a classic. It's such a weird album because like I revisited that album
Yeah.
recently, and I was kind of like, what the hell is this? But it's funny. I was talking to a friend who was talking. He was like trying to get a guitar player to learn how to play punk guitar riffs, and he was like, "Oh, all you got to do is like listen to the Offspring and just do what they do." So he like came back and he was like, "I listened to every track on Americana and I learned how to play them all." And he was like, "You asshole, not Americana." It's not the right album to listen to. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like now listening to it, I'm kind of like, I always think some of the choices that they made, it's just
Oh yeah, it's very questionable. There's some questionable songs on that album. Like, looking at it with the eye of like 2021, that yeah.
totally. But yeah, I think that album was like, I don't know, pretty big for all of us around that time. It's like the first mainstream sort of acceptance of
Yeah, like
something.
I remember calling into the radio station at the where we live and requesting songs from like Offspring and a few other bands. Can't really remember, but Offspring is one of them I remember. And like it was like a English radio station, and they actually had like some of it because like most of the radio stations where we grew up didn't have fucking like the pop music
Mhm.
from well, especially like kind of like you know the alt pop, which is still pop music
Yeah,
from
yeah.
like the West, like America, the States and shit, you know. So like the English channel radio station would, and they had a segment where you could call in and request songs, so I could tape them on my tape player. And yeah, I remember that.
That's such a like people couldn't even understand that these days. Calling in
Yeah.
to a radio station to request a song and then getting your blank cassette out or a cassette that already had some shit on it that you're okay with losing, and tape
Yeah,
over it so you could get that song. It's like
yeah.
it's such a weird concept. You can just get whatever you want on Spotify, except for Fatboy Slim stuff post like 2000. But
Yeah, I remember I had some weird mixtapes that were all over the place. Beastie Boys, techno, and then like Offspring, and some other. I think I might have even already been heard Blink 182 by then.
yeah, I remember like we used to take the school bus home a lot, and you had like burnt CDs and stuff like that. I guess this was probably a little bit
Yeah,
later past the
yeah,
cassettes and
yeah,
onto CDs, but
yeah. That's what because that was my old school that before I went to Sunnyvale
mhm.
when we went to.
Yeah, yeah, and you were like, I gotta say, you turned me on to a lot of pretty good music back there on that bus. The I like Frenzel Rom. Is that the name of the band? Frenzel Rom.
I don't remember that bad.
Honestly, like I only remember them because like I can see your handwriting on the fucking disc. And it was like Frenzel Rom. I was like, what does that mean? And it doesn't matter. And they were kind of like, I feel like they had like a ska thing going on, like kind of. But
Oh
I don't know.
yeah, I used to mess around with that. That's something I don't really mess around with that much is the ska stuff. But Friends of Rom, I have no idea. I,
Guttermouth, you
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember there was that one song that they had about so actually we're both uh, what's the term biracial? Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, there is one song about being biracial that I don't really remember relating to. It's not something that's really sung about. Especially back then. Like,
Wow. I didn't what song is that? I don't know about that song.
I can't remember what song that is, but they had a song where he's like, my mom is like, one, my dad is something like,
Oh.
yeah, like
Hmm.
something. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Well, see, this is how much more advanced you are than me, is that you were looking at songs like that where I was like thinking Cram It Up Your Ass was like a masterpiece.
Yeah, they did have songs like stupid ass songs too, but I don't think they had many songs that were that out there thinking. But that was something I was already into. I remember at the time, Dead Kennedys was something I was big into. I remember having the DK, marketed on my jacket.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was like because back then, yeah, you got like when you were getting into Dead Kennedys and stuff, I feel like you went like fully into like the thinking man's punk zone and like the
Yeah,
like you were like listening to or reading a lot of like Noam Chomsky and stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah. I used to read a lot back then. I don't fucking read anymore. I listen to
Yeah.
audiobooks still and podcasts.
It's easier.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's no work. You're becoming stupider.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's the future, right? This is the world we made for ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, the also another one I remember you really getting into. I don't know if you really listened to this band past this period, but AFI, I remember you were the first person in our school that I was aware of to bring AFI to the
Yeah,
masses.
that's a weird thing. That's something I got like I like. Like I remember when I first listened to them, I liked them. And I grew kind of I don't like them, but I didn't like them anymore. I still don't. I'm not a fan of them that much anymore. They're great. I mean, it's good music. They're way better. And all these people are way better musicians than I'll ever be because I don't play any instruments. They suck. So I'm like the was probably the last person who should be commenting on anybody's musical abilities. Like I,
Well, it's fair to have an opinion on music, and it's like I think AFI have obviously been like a band that's evolved with its
oh yeah,
sound.
and like
So it's like
I have friends who are like heavily into them, and they like they try to, and some of them songs aren't too bad. It's just not me.
yeah, for sure. Like I think like do you have you found throughout the years that you're like kind of your style, or let me say the music that brings you joy to listen to has like evolved in a direction? Like, did you ever feel like punk
Yeah,
went to metal, and then like, did you ever get into like
yeah.
black metal and stuff like that?
Sometimes, yeah. Not much, but sometimes. When it comes to a show, I'll go to a lot more than what I put on personally myself, just
Hmm.
because I really like live music. So like I've been to black metal shows. I've been to black metal shows that like I would normally never listen to, but I do find my taste changes over the years, and sometimes I'll rediscover bands that I used to like. Sometimes I will look back at things that I used to like and be like, I can't believe I look like that. But I find like lately it's more opening than closing myself off to certain things. But yeah, like, and I definitely find that like cases we're always changing as people, so it makes sense that our taste in music changes with that.
Yeah, for sure. Every 7 years, all your cells change. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know if it's true though. It could be. I don't know.
We'll have to look into it. You got to look into it. You're the scientist.
Yeah,
Do some
yeah, I
studies.
could.
Do some research. Um, yeah, it's funny. I love this telling this story to people, and I think that this is a good platform to retell the story yet again. On is when we were younger, we had one really fucking weird day where we went to the Hell House and a bunch of weird shit, including seeing the Antichrist baby happened. Do you remember? Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. So like the way I think about this, this is my skeptical hat coming on, is it's kind of like a group hysteria thing.
Hmm,
Like I was really stoned, I think, if I remember, because I remember that's the reason why we went to that house was just to smoke a bunch of weed,
hmm.
you know. And so I think I was really stoned. I'm pretty sure I was, and everybody else most probably was too. And I feel kind of like psyched ourselves and like kind of convinced ourselves into like a group hallucination. That's my opinion of the event.
Well,
But I definitely do recall seeing weird things, and that's what I recall. That's more my memory is.
well, here's a little extra factor for you. I didn't smoke weed at that time.
I was wondering that because I know you didn't smoke weed at that time. But I still do think like the power of like group persuasion is strong. I mean,
Yeah,
you see that at like these like mega churches with these like pastors that are like making people fall on the ground and stuff.
that's true. I was
But
pretty
like,
impressionable back then, so I was
yeah,
going
like
along
I
with it
mean,
to fit in. I'm like, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I see the fucking the demon over
Anything to fit in. But
there.
it was funny because I mean, like, who knows, right? And the thing is that I'm not the kind of person that believes that there's demons in baby carriages at McDonald's. Like it's so weird. But suffice to say, it was a weird day, and whether or not this was truly the power of the Antichrist, I don't know. But for the people for everyone who's listening to this, being like, just fucking tell the story. What the hell happened? So the this house was like what? It was like an abandoned house somewhere, like in the
Yeah, like in a
like
bar abandoned farmhouse of some kind. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like in Spain you call it like the campo. It's just like the fields or something. It's like what
The
the word
woods,
the woods. Yeah, and
but there's
so
not really, it's different, it's different ecosystem.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like more arid, I guess. But there was this house out there that I guess was abandoned. You guys went to it a lot, but I didn't because I didn't smoke weed, and
Yeah,
so
we just would hang out there all day, sometimes sleep there and just smoke weed and drink. Yeah.
it was a scary house. I mean, like it was like if you imagine like a abandoned, scary haunted house, this is exactly what this place looked like. On top of that, in the fucking there was a swimming pool in the back that
Yeah.
had like about I don't know like an inch of water and like a dead decaying dog in it.
I think somebody went inside there. Like,
Jesus.
I don't know if I don't think I was there for that, but I think I remember someone telling me that somebody went inside and like waded into that.
Oh God.
It was
That's so
disgusting. It
bad.
was like thick green water with decaying dog in it.
There's a decaying dead dog in it. Why would you go anywhere near that? It's so disgusting. So I remember getting there and seeing that, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is where you guys hang out." And then like you guys were smoking weed or whatever. And this other friend of ours, I don't know, I'll not name him because who knows? It probably doesn't want to doesn't want people to know this, but he was like there smoking weed, and that this fucking like an ant bit him or something. The ants there were
Oh
like
yeah.
gigantic, and he was like, "What?"
Yeah. I mean, like I've seen like you know maybe there's like an invasive species. It's just like I mean you have big ants. I've seen big ants in different parts of the world. We just didn't see that type of ant
Mm.
where we live that much.
It was very out of the usual, and yeah, I bit him, and then he immediately got this sort of like huge welt from it, and he was like, "What the fuck? This is like this. What's with this ant? It's like there's something up with this ant." And then like not that much later, some wasp came and stung him, and it was like a gigantic wasp or something.
I mean,
What the
to be
fuck?
fair, we did have a wasp problem at that house. I remember
Mhm.
because one of the people that we would hang out with there actually had a bee suit that because to get rid of the wasp nest because I think wasp nests keep coming back
Well,
for
yeah,
some.
because he came down to help out after that because when the one guy got stung by the wasp, he was like, "What the hell? This wasp is gigantic." And then we looked everywhere, and like everywhere there was wasps, and we're like, "Oh my God, this place is like riddled with wasps." And
Yeah,
so that I had someone I guess called this guy you're talking about with the beekeeping outfit.
yeah.
Fucking guy comes down like carrying a ladder, and he's just fully decked out in like a beekeeping outfit. He like I don't even know like what he did. He just like grabbed the nest and threw it somewhere else. But
Yeah.
yeah, then we like left, and then I think we went back to that guy's place because he like was keeping a bunch of bees on his property or so. That's why he had the bee
Yeah,
suit.
you live not far from there.
Yeah, and then we went to the McDonald's, and there at the McDonald's we see the fucking Antichrist baby who this my recollection of the event was there was like two parents, and they were sitting at this McDonald's table, and there was baby carriage by the table, and there was like a sheet over the like open portion of the carriage that they would periodically lift up and then put like food in and close
I
it.
remember seeing black eyes, like completely black eyes. That's
Yeah,
what I
because like I remember because one of the times that they opened it, I caught a glimpse of the baby, and it was just like completely black eyes and fucking horns
remember. Yeah.
sticking out of its
Yeah, like
head.
it was like not like horns like developed, like they were like, growing underneath or something.
Yeah, like they were still like beneath the skin. They were like
Yeah,
subdermal. It was
yeah,
it was so creepy. And then I think the guy who got bit by the weird ant and wasp, he was like, "Holy shit, that fucking weird looking baby is looking directly at me," and we're like, "Holy shit, is looking directly at you." And then the baby, again, this is my memory, pushed on the table from the stroller, and the fucking baby carriage went like flying to the other side of the room, and we're like, what is this? This baby's got like superhuman strength, and it was staring at him. What does this mean? It looks like a demon. Why would the parents put the cloth over its face? So many questions.
well, what's that? This be like a rare like genetic mutation, and we're just laughing at somebody's disability.
It wouldn't surprise me, you know. Sorry, I'm sorry. My apologies. No, it was the devil. God damn it. I'm sure I don't know what it was, obviously, but that guy who got stared down by whatever this thing was, later that night we went back to your place, and he tried to do a backflip from like your guest house into the pool or something,
Yeah.
and like cracked his head on the corner of the pool. Like he didn't make the backflip the whole way, just like slammed headfirst into the corner of the pool, then fell into the pool. And then like we just see him kind of floating there with a pool of blood like emerging around his head. We're like, oh my God. And then like your mom came home with a friend of hers, and like she was just like, oh yeah, you don't need to go to a hospital or anything, just put some saran wrap on it. She like literally got like cling wrap and wrapped it around his head, and that was how we left it for the entire night.
Yeah. And he went home like that the next day.
Yeah, and the next day he woke up and his eye was like bulging out of his head.
Yeah.
And I remember like, because I think we woke up or something, and like some people woke up and they were like, oh man, like I'm so hungover, like what a crazy day or something. And he was like, you think you got it bad? He's like, look at this. And his eye is like popping out of his face. And we're all like, what the fuck is happening to your face? He's like, I got cursed by the Antichrist, clearly. And at that time I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Given everything that's happened, that's the only explanation.
He was probably hit his head a couple times that night.
Seriously, it's so funny. There was a photo of us, is like of all of us with like
Yeah, I remember that photo.
and yeah, and then he's fucking sitting in the corner with the strand wrap, just going
Yeah.
like that. It's absolutely crazy. So if there is a medical condition out there that turns you into a demonic creature, let me know so I can get the story right. If you are the Antichrist that we saw back then and you start watching this podcast, that'd be fucking even crazier if you get in touch with me. And if I could do a podcast with the Antichrist, I get so many subscriptions, get so many followers. That was probably the craziest day, but there was a lot of crazy days back in Spain, especially like at your place. Do you remember? I think I could say his first name without giving too much away, given it's a pretty generic name. Do you remember that day that Phil came to your place and you pierced his belly button?
Yeah, that was me.
That was crazy. That was.
He was asking for it, but we were kind of. Well, I think I was also really drunk and just not able to do. I said I could do it, or was I doing it?
Yeah, it was you. Yeah, for sure.
I said I could do it. I didn't like look this stuff up on the internet or anything. Like, barely had internet there, and like it wasn't the same thing as it was now. I just was like, yeah, like it's not something I saw people do. I was like, yeah, I can do that.
Well, you don't even do your own piercings for like a little bit of time. I think that's.
Well, yeah, I did my but like an ear and a belly button is a very different thing.
As we found out that night, was.
I did do my lip myself, and like it's like horribly infected. I had a bunch of infections all the time then, and that's like mostly why I don't have many piercings right now. I actually started wearing one earring again recently, but. Yeah, it's just constantly infected, Like if you have a bunch, there's always one that's got snagged or just being a problem.
Speaking of getting snagged, piercings getting snagged, do you remember this? Because you might have forgotten about this, but I'll never forget this. I got my nipple pierced like right back around. I don't even know if you had moved to Ottawa or if you were just like there to visit or something like that, but I just got my nipple pierced. It was like 2 weeks fresh. And I told you, because you had a nipple ring at that time. And I was like, dude, check it out. I got my nipple pierced. And I fucking like showed you, and you immediately just went and did a nipple twist. And it ripped the nipple ring like half out of my nipple. Like it was so disgusting. Like my nipple was half hanging off. It's fucking like piercing that was just like healing. So it was like, I apologize to the listeners. It was this bloody pus like filled mess, nipple half hanging off, fucking ring, and the kind of piercing it was one of those like horseshoe shaped ones with like the two balls at the bottom, and like those balls you can't just like easily get off. You got to get like a pair of pliers and shit and like
Yeah.
take them
Yeah,
off. So
yeah, like two players, the whole
yeah,
thing,
the
and so
whole
everybody's just pulling at your nipple.
oh god. So I had to like I was in the shower like with my nipple half hanging off in this thing and like trying to undo the stupid ball so I could get this thing out of there. And I was so cheesed. But yeah, do you remember that at all?
No. Actually, I somewhat remember you being upset that like I snagged your nipple ring. I don't remember how it happened though.
There's a time too that you chipped my tooth. Still got it there. I don't know if you remember that. That was I don't know what. Well, I know that we were drunk, and I know that I think we like. Yeah, actually, there was two fucking separate events where we got drunk and started like wrestling each other,
Yeah,
and like
yeah, I think I remember going. I think everybody goes through a phase where you get drunk and you wrestle.
yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and it's fun
You have
because
to.
you're numb and yeah.
But yeah, it's like you were wearing all those like studded like wristbands and stuff. And then I remember somehow like your wrist like went past my teeth. And then you were like, "Oh, I think I chipped your tooth. There's like a bit of tooth on my stud." And I was like, "What the hell?" So I looked at the mirror and I was like, "Ah, what the fuck?"
I say,
Yeah, pretty cool. And then
sorry.
and then there was that time that you slammed me really hard in the parking lot when we were fake wrestling or whatever.
Why are we wrestling?
We were wrestling. And but I don't know how it happened. I felt like I had the upper hand in that one, but you slammed me pretty hard on
I
the
got
ground.
a lower center of gravity.
That must be it, because like my elbow was fucked for like a year after that, and I was like, I was sure that it was fractured or something, but I also didn't really want to go and get it checked out or anything.
Yeah, I remember when I used to drink a lot. Like my body was just constantly hurting. There was just some injury or another that happened when you were drunk that you just don't remember.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, I think like a lot of those times back then too, like I don't know, I'd throw myself into harm's way. You know, it's like I remember when I was playing bass with the Obscene Bastards that kind of like in a way ultimately became the Whiskey Shits, kind of.
Yeah,
Um and I don't know, have you ever talked to anyone about this in the Whiskey Shits? Did I come up with that band name? I think I came up with that band name.
I don't. I think Mongo takes credit for that.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I think there was I distinctly remember there being a day that I was like sitting around talking to someone and I was just like, man, the whiskey shits are the worst. And they're like, whiskey shits, what are those? I was like, well, you drink a lot of whiskey, you gotta take a shit. And it's like this horrible experience. And they're like, well, that's a great name for a band. But I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just making up the story. But either way, when I was playing with the Obscene Bastards, like that was just, like a drug and alcohol fueled like fucking nightmare basically. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I mean, the situations that I kind of like willingly put myself into. I remember we played a show. I think you were at this show actually. It was like a house show, and I was like doing coke and fucking like drinking excessively. And we played the show. I don't even know how I managed to like play songs like that. It's so weird. Like I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't remember ever even learning the songs. I think I just realized that you can't really hear bass in like a punk band. And if you play anything, it just kind of works. But
Yeah.
so after the show, like some dude had like stolen beers or something from the house, and I got like just super like charged. I was like, this guy's just stealing my beers. And I like, got up in his face and he like threw a beer in my face, and I like tried to chase him out of the thing. And it's just like, what the hell?
I think we've all been there. Yeah, we've all been that guy. Yeah, and then it turns out you just drank all your beers.
Yeah, probably.
Something stupid like that.
Totally. That easily that was what happened.
Yeah, I definitely woken up like that before. Like, yeah, no. Yeah, man, drinking makes you not smart.
It's funny. I mean, it's like I mean, I still drink, but I've cut. I'd like to think I've cut down, and I've kind of become aware of where like the dangerous territory is. Like,
Yeah,
I don't drink hard liquor anymore because it's like that's just a fast track to like bad news.
yeah, especially if you don't drink much, like you get drunk really, really easy.
Yeah, for sure. I find that now it's like if I drink like 3 beers, even after I have like a second beer, I'm already like, yeah, I'm pretty much there already. If I go like 4 beers, I'm like wasted.
Yeah, like I'll have like the occasional beer when somebody like really when I'm just like fuck, I kind of want people to shut up, sure. I'll have a beer, or like I kind of like will feel like it, like not like I'll never drink again. I just like it's not for me anymore. But like so I'll have a beer and then like even like about like halfway through it, kind of start feeling it a bit. And I'm like, nah, I don't like it. I don't never really finish shit, you know.
Mm,
So like I'm sure if I had like a beer and with two tall cans, I'll be drunk. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like, so you just like did you never reached a moment where you were like, I got to stop drinking? You were just kind of like, it's just not for me
Yeah, I
anymore.
mean, I definitely thought that like many times. You
Mhm.
know, uh, maybe not for like immediately. You know, like not when you would have thought I would have thought that. Like it definitely came a bit later in life that I thought that, and but it was more like I just wanted to be able to drink responsibly. That was my goal, you know,
Mhm.
and that sort of happened, especially when I started doing school and stuff, because you can't be fucking hungover and do that shit, you know. It's just you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
And or you can, but you're half-assing it, and I didn't want to half-ass fucking my time or my money. So, like, yeah. So, like, and when I started, it just like, yeah, just slowly started happening. It just started less and less and less, and then it was just like one day I was just like, yeah, it's not for me. So,
Nice. Do you smoke weed though, right?
yeah, yeah. So, like, as soon as I started cutting down on the drinking, I started smoking weed again, which I kind of stopped for over 10 years. Like, I
Mhm.
used to smoke wild weed when I was a teenager. And then when I started drinking a lot, I started smoking less weed. And it's because I don't think they really mix well, at least not for me. You know, I know some people like to mix them, but for me, they don't mix well. And I like drinking, so we'd have to go. And then when I kind of stopped drinking, I feel like also like drinking brings up your anxiety, and I have issues with anxiety to deal with.
Mhm.
And like drinking brings it up. And we can, in a way, but it can help you too. But I find if you're drinking, I'm like just like that on edge that the weed kind of pushes me over the edge,
Yeah.
you know. And without it, without the negative effects of alcohol, I can handle the weed. Like that makes sense.
That makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely like it's weird because with my experience with alcohol and weed, like I was like late to the party because I was like straight edge for a while in high school, but then I started kind of like drinking first and then I got into weed when I was going to university in Ottawa and I was like it was weird because I like when I started really getting into weed, it was always when I was already drunk. So it's like my initial like reactions to weed were like this like weird combination effect. It like wasn't a pure weed effect. So I
Yeah.
remember thinking like the first few times I was like, oh my God, this is fucking awful. Like I like feel like I'm gonna be sick. I like my heart's palpitating, like this is awful. I got so
Suspense.
yeah, but I kept doing it like all the time, like it's trying to fit in or
Because you're
something.
drunk, you're like, I want to make this party more party.
I guess, yeah. But it always ended up being the same thing where I was like in the bathroom, like with my head like over the toilet, being like, "Oh God, just like make this end."
Yeah.
So, I know somehow I kept doing it, and I guess I like built up a tolerance to it because I mean, it's not for everybody, but I still enjoy mixing the two,
Oh
So,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no,
I,
that's something I would not. Actually, no. Actually, when I do drink, well, I do me drinking is having half a beer, so it's not really drinking. Like I'll be smoking at the same time. But like I said, I'm more like beer. It's I maybe finished one whole beer from start to finish in the past year. One, you know.
wow,
So. Like,
wow, that's do you smoke legal weed? Do you like the government weed? No, no one likes the government weed.
Man, who does that?
So funny. Yeah, they got to do something about that. They got to do something about that if they really want to, move people away
Yeah, I
from the black
mean,
market.
they're just not make. There's so many things they could do, but they're just not doing it. And I mean, in a way, I'm kind of happy they're not doing it because if they were to do it, as shit, they're not going to think about all the people whose livelihoods are kind of on the illegal weed business. They're
Mhm.
not going to incorporate them into it. They're not going to, like deal with older people. Like I'm not too read up on the situation people in Canada would be charges, but I do know people who still have like that in their record and in
Mhm.
Canada, and it's an issue. It's like you know, like but they gotta fix all of that, but they're not going to. Like, I don't want them to. I'm glad they're fucking up the monetization part because they're not fixing the whole problem. So why I don't want them to get all the money.
Yeah, that's true.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, that's true. Like their incompetence is actually like allowed for the illegal realm to still exist and
Exactly.
not completely put them out of business. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm kind of biased, obviously, because I work in the legal world, but it's it's one of those things that's unavoidable. It's just the annoying thing is that it's like Health Canada has a lot of say in all this stuff, right? And they're like, well, if it's moist, then it's gonna breed mold, and then people start smoking mold, and they're gonna get like some horrible lung infection. So
Yeah,
therefore,
which how many times have you heard that for like all the people smoking weed, right?
oh yeah, for sure. People that are smoking fresh weed always get lung infections from mold. But yeah, it's so stupid. And then like the yeah, so they intentionally dry it all out, So it's just like you open it and you're just like, what is this?
I mean, there's a lot of other issues with it, like just I don't know, like their pricing, their packaging, there's just like the options available to you. Like I don't want to go to the store and buy weed like all the time. I want to buy like once a month,
Mhm.
or like once every 2 months. I smoke a lot of weed and I need like a lot. And I want to get a deal for all that amount. I don't want to pay the same price as if I'm buying a fucking gram, for a whole bunch of weed. It's not how it works.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's true. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty pricey for sure. I mean, I feel like the prices are like I don't know. It's not fair to say because I work in that world, so I'm going to give you some like salesman pitch right now. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I mean, they are coming down. Like yeah, I do agree. Like actually, like a buddy of mine showed me the other day, maybe a couple months ago. It's COVID. You don't see people that often, but they
Yeah.
were like, yeah, they're like actually you can get like think an eighth for $20 now or something. So it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still don't have. I get more selection. Well, it depends because I'm in Quebec too. So this
Right.
is it's a different experience than what it is in Ontario. We
Yeah.
don't
Sure.
have like independent weed shops. We just
Hmm.
got like the government that literally runs it all. So I don't get as much selection through them either. You know,
Hmm.
I can get better quality. I find it on the back market than or gray market, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's a different like because it's provincial in Canada the laws. It's different in every province. In Quebec, I think it's kind of worse off than the others when it comes to this.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I've since legalization, I haven't even like left this province, so I have not explored what options there are in other provinces. But interesting nonetheless. I've heard people talking about how like next up on the list of legalized substances is shrooms and then ecstasy. And I was like, cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, like mushrooms, like pretty much like. I hope people don't get busted for mushrooms. That sucks. Like yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
I'm sure people do, but it's
Do you
horrible. But
do you do
yeah,
do you do shrooms?
yeah. I'll still mess with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I have like an ounce that I've had for a year that I haven't touched, but like I'm not opposed to it. Like actually, I went on a camping trip and somebody else had some, and I did some not too long ago, but
Nice.
last summer. But yeah. Yeah, I like that. Like I kind of want to do like the big trip again. I haven't done that in a long time. Like the eat way too much kind of thing. I like because like now it's kind of like, oh, I'll just have milk bowl a little bit. Ooh,
Mhm.
things are a little bit different. You can
Yeah.
leave and stuff, but I kind of want to try that big intense experience one more. A while since I've done it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, like both ends of that spectrum, like the little, the little glow and the giggles and everything like that, or the hardcore visuals and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I mean, they're good for different occasions.
Hmm.
Like you don't want to be that one guy. Like, and I mean, some people can handle it better than others, but if you're in a social setting and like on a camping trip with people, and you're the one that's completely questioning reality and like going off on their own, maybe doing, and that other people have to babysit you who can't ruin their night. You don't want to be that person, but you lock yourself up in your apartment or you just went out in the woods by yourself and you're ready for that. You can handle that. Then good on you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever be able to handle that going out into the woods by myself while like having a super hardcore trip on shrooms.
That sounds like a good idea. The more I think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, you like that? I don't know. I don't trust myself. I feel like I wouldn't come back. I'd be like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
home's definitely that way, and I just walk straight back.
I
But
don't know. I set up my tent before I do it. So
oh
the
right,
tent
okay.
is like you gotta make sure you get back to the tent, and that'll be the adventure. Is finding the tent again. Actually, I did that. I had an experience with acid with a friend of mine that we know, and yeah, we were out in BC, and that was the adventure, was finding the tent again.
That's so funny. What's the craziest hallucinatory trip like or experience that you've ever had?
Huh.
Like, are there any that stand out where you're just like that one time that was like, what the hell was that about? Or
It's like I have a hard time like really remembering how intense they were because I know like I remember being like overwhelmed, but I
Mhm.
can't really like, put myself back in that position again. Like there's been some times I think more when it's like I've kind of like mixed a lot of things together
Mhm.
and I've been like up for a long time and then I just like, threw hallucinogen in there and then I've had some pretty intense times like where but then like I've got a lot of other things going in me so like it's like not just pure history experience and then I think the alcohol and there's a lot of alcohol involved too kind of denses everything.
Mhm.
But that's why like I've not done that many like day trips just completely sober without anything
Mhm.
else. And that's something I'm interested in doing because I think it's going to be a different experience. Maybe even a more intense experience possibly. I'm not like what's that term, psychonaut? Like the
Psych-
people who are like super into tripping,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
they
for
know
sure.
all about it. I don't know all about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like because I've always kind of before, like up until recently, I've always had other substances around with
Mhm.
me while I was tripping. That's like kind of lessened the experience in a way.
Totally. Yeah. The first time I did shrooms, I was like on a complete like, like mishmash of different substances and it's just like it was such a bad experience. I was like like
Yeah, yeah, that's my first few experience exactly.
mhm. Yeah, but since then, I mean, yeah, like the true and just like shroom experience, I've had some really great experiences, and yeah, all ranging from just like having a little bit of a laugh to like seeing electricity coming out of my fingers and being like, oh man, this is what it is. It's all energy. We're all connected through energy. The most stereotypical mushroom thing you can
Yeah,
say, but
yeah, like I've done acid again since like I've been sober, and yeah, I had fun with that,
mhm.
and but I haven't had the big shroom trip yet, and I only did like a tab or two of acid. And I don't know. I don't think acid is as strong as it used to be, you know. But yeah, like I didn't get like super out there, Like my buddy did like six tabs, and they were like completely out there.
That's intense. Yeah. The I never did acid because I was like flying planes. So get that whole
Yeah,
thing where you can't do acid because it stays in your
yeah,
spine. So
yeah, yeah.
I don't. I
Yeah, like with my buddy there, he's a psychonaut. They're all into the all. It helped them actually a lot with their addiction problems.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of like interesting studies coming out now where it's seeing all these like, these benefits to some of those different trippy drugs, so it's
yeah.
good.
I definitely think it helps with addiction. I know a couple of people who, you know, I did not think I would see them come over their addiction problems. I've unfortunately seen a lot of people not make it out of their issues with addiction. But I know some people who have, and they've done so successfully through psychedelics. I feel like if this was something that was, more taken advantage of, more researched, it could be applied to more people. Like right now, I don't know. There's not, you can't really do it supervised. I don't think right now. You're kind of
Mhm.
just doing it on your own. But they've had not recommending anybody go out do that, but I haven't heard it. Is really helpful for some people, and that was the main thing that they said that got them through it.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, like hopefully if they legalize shrooms, that could actually help a lot of people as well in similar positions, and
Yeah,
at the very least get some young kids into drugs.
that's what we all want.
That's what it's all been about.
Yeah,
But
that's how we get the revolution going.
that's right. That's right. It's always been about the revolution. So yeah, man, we've been talking for a while now. I guess a little over an hour. Gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah,
But dude, I don't know.
it
It's
was a
been good.
pleasure talking to you.
That's been good catching up for sure.
Yeah.
We should chat more, like not in a recorded podcast
Yeah,
setting.
yeah, it'll be more that. Well, I mean, it's been pretty natural, but yeah, it was good time.
Exactly. We can actually name some of the people that we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
on
exactly.
camera.
That was super cool. I love talking to Marlon. It's so awesome connecting with my friends that I haven't talked to in a while because it's filled with nostalgia and I get to learn about everything that they got going on with their lives currently. So remember, just as always, like and subscribe. Check out next week, another podcast, another awesome guest, another awesome time right here on Distorted Frequencies.